Hi friends, I'm Sarah. Welcome to my off-grid cabin. I'm so glad you're here today. We are going to be making this fun zip pouch, which you can make in any size that you want. You don't need a pattern or anything fancy or special. And this zipper, it's a breeze. If you've been afraid of zippers, don't be. I'm going to do the whole thing on this hand crank machine. And yes, I'm going to get a little help from my hammer. It's a lot of fun, and I'm glad you're here with me today. Let's do it. All right, here's what's in my bag. I've got this piece of old cutter quilt. It's in pretty bad shape on the one side, but the other side's okay. And it's, I thought maybe layering it somehow. What I'm thinking is zip pouches. I want to make some zip pouches. So I've got this. I have a couple pieces of linens that have some cuts out of them, but some pretty trim. This was a piece of a shirt, but it kind of went along with it. I grabbed some batting scraps. I've got this vintage piece of, actually it's a little tablecloth, so I thought maybe I could do something with that. I grabbed a handful of shorter zippers that I had in my stash in colors that kind of looked like this. I've got this bag of scraps of vintage parts, lots of feed sack parts, a couple quilt blocks. And so that's what I grabbed these for. You might remember this bag of scraps from the video I did on making a snap coin purse. So I grabbed this bag again, grabbed a little lightweight stabilizer. This is Pellon 906F. It's probably my favorite lightweight fusible stabilizer. I grabbed some of that and some more little vintage fabric pieces. I'm not sure exactly what they're from, but they're in there. A random piece of linen. It's a little bit heavier, so I thought maybe that would work to mix in. An edge piece of a damask tablecloth. Has some pretty kind of cut work. And that's that. So I have this mountain here of stuff. We'll call it a mountain of goodness. And that's what we're going to play with today. What I have done here is cut an 11-inch square of my batting and an 11-inch square of my cutter quilt. I chose 11 inches simply because that's the size I could get out of my piece of batting. So that's what I'm starting with. I've got all my parts and pieces here, and I'm just playing a little to see what fabrics I think I'm going to want to put into this piece. This will be the outside of my zipper pouch, and I'm just pulling some things together. I'm not making an exact design. I'm just pulling together. See, this little piece would look good. What might look good in here? You know, for example, this is just way too white as I'm laying it here. I don't want that in there. I love this little shirt piece. I thought I was going to want to put some of these in here, but I'm not going to do that on this one. But I kind of think I'm going to end up making more than one. So I'm just pulling some parts together that I think are going to look good. Get some of these are so fun. This is so much fun. Ooh, this would look good. I don't know what these pieces were for. They're definitely that's definitely a feed sack. That would look good in here too. So I'm going to pull some things that look good together, and then I'll grab the sewing machine. I have this pinned together how I like it. Now this is going to be an unconventional way of piecing a crazy patch or crazy quilt block. This isn't how I'd normally do it, but the reason I'm going to do it this way is because I want some of my under quilt to show through. So I'm going to bring you down here and show you how I'm going to attack this. Now, if I were just doing a regular crazy patch block, I have that covered in my other video, which I will link down below. But this is going to go a little bit differently. So let's do it. Oh, and guess what? I figured out what these pieces are for. This stack of vintage pieces that I said, I don't know what these are. Well, didn't I find some pinned together with these ancient straight pins? And look, they were going to be little Sunbonnet Sues. So who knows if this quilt was finished and these were extras or if it never got done, I don't know. But somebody spent a lot of time cutting out all these little dresses and hats. And so it's good that we're using them today. So what I want to do first is sew down the pieces that I know are going to be underneath. I've pinned these in place so I don't lose my place. I'm going to fold this back and just pin it out of my way. And I know I need this piece sewn down. I'm just going to sew it straight across here. I also know that this corner of cut doily, it's going to be underneath. I'm just going to sew it down across there, and I'm going to pin this out of my way. Okay, I'm going to do that. This corner is also going to be underneath all this stuff. So I'm going to flip these back, and I'm pinning them because it's so easy to forget where you are. My mom used to call it sewing yourself in a corner. I'm going to just sew across here. I'm not going to sew this curve. I'm just going to zip a straight line across there. So let's go to the machine and do that. So here we are with our corner elements sewn down. And again, I want to reiterate, I know I'm doing this opposite of what I'd normally do, but it's because I'm working from the outside in to leave this open instead of the inside out. Anyway, we're just going to go with it. Okay, so I've stitched this down and I've stitched this one down. I'm just going to trim these off. Trim this one off too. This more or less held them in place so that I didn't get confused. There we go. Now, let's look at what we want now. All right. Now I can get a little more normal. I know that I want this piece of trim to go like this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to lay this down right along there. And I'm going to stitch it down, flip it back. Okay, I'm going to do that. So we'll pin that in place. I know that I want this stitched across here. Oh, but it's going under here. So next, we're going to just pin this one out of our way. And we're going to go to this one. This one here. I know that I want this stitched here. So I'm going to, this can come out. I'm going to flip this down. And I can take this and place it face down. Stitch it here. And flip it back. So those are my next steps. I'm going to do those two. And then I'll be back. Here we are. I have sewn down this trim. I lined up the raw edges and I just stitched down, flipped it back. Now I have a finished edge here and I have this finished edge of trim along my vintage quilt, and that's what I wanted. I'm going to top stitch this in place in a moment. Over here, I've stitched this down. Now let me show you. I actually stitched this twice. I stitched it the first time and I didn't quite catch enough of the doily, so I just went and made a fatter seam and I'm flipping it back, and that is exactly what I wanted. So there's that. I'm going to come here. I am going to top stitch this crocheted edging down, and now I'm going to do this one. Then I'm going to top stitch this edging down right all the way down here. I'm going to take this piece and fold it face down, and I'm going to stitch it along here and bring it back. Okay, let's go to the machine and do that. I want to show you, I've got the edge of my trim right under my sewing machine foot here, and I'm just going to stitch, catching the crocheted edge down. I've got an ecru thread, and I'm just stitching down. That machine stitching is going to blend right in. It'll be perfectly fine. Okay, we're going to flip this back and check that out. That's what I wanted, was these finished edges over the middle. Okay, I know what we're going to do. We're going to just leave this raw edge. I'm going to pin it in place. Just anchor it. I'm going to just top stitch along the edge here, and then this is all good. I'm going to randomly stitch it. Just go with me on this train. I'm going to stitch it along here and flip it back. All right, I stitched down here, which is random, but it's going to make sense in a minute. I'm going to flip it back. Okay. I have top stitched all along here. So this is all secured. Now I just have this kind of raw edge sector right here. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this lovely doily right on top. Okay, I'm loving this. I'm totally in love with this. What I'm going to do, and then this will be done. I am going to, where this raw edge is, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to flip that under, and I'm going to top stitch it. I'm going to top stitch along here to hold it down. And over here, I have one more little raw edge, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to flip that under and top stitch it. Then I don't have to worry about any of those raw edges. There's one here too. So that's what we're going to do. Then we're going to trim this up and make it into a pouch. We're going to trim this down to about 10 inches. Doesn't really matter what size you trim it down to. Whatever size works for you. A little scared of the rain. Good morning, friends. It's a rainy day. I'm out on the porch because it isn't cold, just a little damp. I've got 2 pieces done here. Aren't they fun? I'm thinking about adding this little piece of doily maybe on there. I'm not sure yet. But what I have here are 2 10-inch squares, okay? They've been quilted through with the batting, the old quilt, the stuff on top, and they have a nice weight to them. You don't want them too floppy. It's time for the zipper. This is how I like to do zippers for zip pouches. I like to make zipper tabs. It's very, very simple. Here's what you're going to do. Whatever size square you have, this is 10 inches. You're going to take an inch off of that. We need our completed zipper to measure 9 inches. Okay, this is bigger. It's about 11 or so. But I think the tabs just make it nicer. So what I'm going to do is there on the end, I'm just going to cut that off. Here's my zipper with the end cut off. Here's one of my 3-inch squares. Now this is how I do it. I fold it about into thirds, about like so. And I turn my zipper upside down and I slip my zipper right into there so that it's inside that fold. There's lots of ways to do this. This is how I do it. And I fold this over and I fold this over like that. And that's it. You could tuck this raw edge a little bit more under, but I find it's caught in the seam and it works out fine. So I do that. And now I'm going to stitch all the way around here. And I'm going to stitch over. And with my needle down, I'm going to pivot. There we go, that's better. I'm going to stitch. And with my needle down, there we go, in the fabric, I'm going to pivot. Stitch up to the edge. Now I like to go over this piece at the edge of the zipper a couple times. This machine doesn't have a reverse on it, so I just end up sewing it twice. There we go. We'll go back to the cutting board now. Here we are, and our zipper tab is here. Again, my blocks are 10 inches. So my zipper needs to be an inch shorter, which is 9 inches. What I'm going to do is unzip this a little bit like so. This is my 9-inch line. There we go. 9 inches. Now we're going to make our other zipper tab. Here's my zipper ready to go into my pouch, and it's just a hair longer than 9 inches, which is going to be just fine. Now let's put it into the pouch. Okay, I've sewn half of my zipper, and I wasn't filming it, so I'm going to show you on the other half. What we have is our zipper with our tabs, and we have one of our quilted squares. What I'm going to do is put my zipper face down right along the edge of my quilted square that is face up, just like that. Okay. Then I'm going to put my lining face down on top of that. And I'm going to clip those together with plenty of clips all across here, and I'm going to sew it. We're going to go to the machine and sew. The important thing here to know is that when you center your zipper, there should be about a quarter to a half inch hanging off on each side. It should be about a half inch. That's what you want. You want it centered like such. This machine does not have a zipper foot, but what it does have is this skinny one-sided old-fashioned foot. If you have an old featherweight or something, you've got one of these feet, and this will work. What we're going to do is, instead of sewing like this, like we normally would, we're going to rotate our project and sew like this, so that the skinny edge of that foot can get right up beside our zipper. It's going to work great. Even though I can't see that zipper, the edge of this foot is riding right along the ridge of it. And I'm going to continue stitching down until that zipper pull gets in my way, which is right about now. What I'm going to do is leave the needle down and lift my presser foot. I want to open this so you can see. There's my zipper pull. I'm just going to zip it up out of the way. Now it's not interfering with my foot anymore, and I can lower my presser foot and continue stitching. This is a little difficult on this hand crank machine, I am not going to lie. It's putting it to the test. That was a little bit challenging, but this is the inside of the bag. This will be the outside. Look how nice that zipper, pretty good. What we're going to do now is press it and then top stitch it. That'll give us a really professional look. I did heat up my iron because I really want to press this. You really want to get in here and press that nicely so that you get a nice top stitch. Isn't this going to be cute? I love it. I'm happy. Now it's time to sew it together. Do that. So here's what we're going to do. Unzip the bag. Important. We're going to grab it. Okay. I've got the two linings and the two fronts. I am going to clip this all the way around. You know I'm not a huge pinner or clipper, but for this I am. So let's clip it all. I'm going to leave an opening down here on the lining for turning it. Leave it big enough to get your hand in, okay? I want to show you an up close. The important thing on clipping it. When you get to this intersection, your zipper is about half an inch down, and that's what we want. I really want to not sew this tab if I can. I want to sew right along the tab. I am clipping these together so those seams match. Like that. And then just clipping. I've got an opening for turning, and I've clipped here. This is a pretty thick seam. It's pretty thick. My machine may not like that. I'm kind of pushing her to the limits here. Ooh, listen to the rain. What I may do, you can take a hammer and kind of pound it. That can help. We're just going to see how it goes. So I'm going to sew all the way around, leaving an opening right here, and then we'll be back. Okay. This is not going to go over this thick hump like I thought it wouldn't on the other side. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do. As you can see, this hump is pretty thick. So I'm going to get my secret weapon, which is a hammer. I do this sometimes when I'm working with jeans. Don't worry, no quilts or vintage linens were harmed during the making of this film. Okay, it went over that massive hump, but I am going to give it another, I'm going to stitch back over it the other direction just for some extra stability. We did it. Took a little hammer, but we did it. So I've sewn all the way around with roughly a 1/4 inch seam. It's probably a little bit fatter all the way around, but I've left an opening to turn, and let's do this. This is the exciting part always. It's where stuff gets real. Here it comes. This is why it was important to open that zipper, or else, trust me, no fun. You're stuck out of half of the bag. All right, see if our zipper, look how pretty. Look how beautiful that looks. That little zipper tab. I love it. It just, to me, creates such a nice finished look. I'm gonna come up to this one. Look how good. Love it. Love it. Okay, so what we have now, it's cute. You know, it's flat, and you may want just a flat pouch, in which case you could poke these corners out better and be totally done. Which might be nice if it was a little longer, perfect for an iPad or a tablet. But I want to box the bottom so that it has that flat bottom. And I kind of like this size that it came out. I was afraid it might be a little long, being 10 inches, but I think it's going to be perfect. Let's box the bottom. We're going to turn it back wrong side out again. Here's my bag turned inside out again. I want to box the bottom. Here's how I like to do it. I've got my lining fabric here. What I've done is taken the bottom corner, kind of squiggled it to a point. I'll show you how I do that here. Kind of work it so that your seams are both, they're lined up here. If you can make one go, that my top one's going this way and my bottom one's going this way, that's not imperative, but I think it makes it lay a little flatter. Okay, we have a nice point. It's a triangle. We're going to measure up from here. I am going to go 2 inches from the very bottom of this fabric. I'll put the bottom of that on my 2-inch mark. I'm going to pick one of these straight lines to go up the seam of stitching there. Just that'll make sure I'm drawing a straight line. I'm going to take my water erasable pen and I'm going to draw a line across. And I'm going to sew on that line. Okay, I have sewn across each of my 4 corners, the 2 linings and the 2 outsides, right where I drew the line. Now it's time to cut them. Important, okay? Here's the line and our stitching. We're going to cut the tip off about a 1/4 inch away. Be sure that you're cutting on this side of the line, not this side, or you'll just have a big gaping hole. So we're going to come up above this to the corner, towards the corner, and just cut that off. You could use your rotary cutter, zip like that. We're going to do that to all 4. Now we're going to turn it right side out again. It's like seeing something come to life. Poke those corners out. Oh my goodness, I love this. Poke those out. And when I want to do my corner, just get your thumb in there and you just press it up. There it is. Press it up. Oh, I'm in love. It's a nice size bag. So this was my 2-inch. Had I gone up only 1.5 inches, this box bottom would be a little smaller. So it's really a personal preference. You can play around. Oh, it looks so good. I love it. I love it. I hope this will inspire you to just make a zip pouch. Look how easy that was. Now inside, we've got a fully lined, beautiful inside. All we've got to do is close this gap. You can hand stitch that or machine stitch it, whichever you prefer. Aren't these fun? Now I made another one here. How cute is this? Kind of its funny little shape. I love it. This, there's a thread, was a 10-inch square. I did one of the quilted 10-inch squares. Then I cut it in half. So I had two 5 by 10 rectangles, and that makes this little size. And it's kind of a cute, it'd be cute for, I don't know, pins or crochet hooks, little things like that. So fun. Who knew I'd need a hammer?
Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. I'll be back soon with another video. Have a great day. Go make something beautiful.